Well, tensions along the border is only escalating now, with innocent civilians paying the price for Pakistan's cowardice and treachery. 2 days ago, a young boy lost his life. Yesterday, an 8-year-old suffered a bullet injury, and today, a 70-year-old woman has died when Pakistan has violated the truce pact yet again. We are going to discuss this. Joining me now is Rajiv Dogra, former diplomat, live from Delhi. I've also got Brigadier Farooq Ahmed with me, and Colonel Anil Kaul, who's been with us for some time on these discussions. And I've also got Faria Idris, senior journalist, who's joining us from Islamabad. Thank you all of you for joining us. Rajiv Dogra, I'm going to come first to you. Pakistan tried to rake this issue yet again at United Nations. That's not really helped them at all. No response really coming in from that end. Now they are actually increasing their offense in Jammu and Kashmir. What options are there in front of the Indian government right now?
Well, firstly, Indian government should stay firm, as the villager has commented just now, that while the villagers are going to show forbearance, it is for the government to show resolve. So I think that is the central message, that we should not act like we did during Kandahar hijacking, that we wilted under pressure and gave concession after concession to the terrorists who were really ISI in a different garb. So Pakistan is trying everything. International complaints, and they are very good at lodging complaints. They are violating every rule of civilized behavior by targeting the civilians. And the reason why they are targeting the civilians is that they hope to put increasing pressure on the government of India, that civilians will tell government of India to back off, to request for ceasefire again, and to agree to whatever terms Pakistan sets in. So I think the principal message that these villagers are giving is that they are standing firm. They expect government to stand firm.
Absolutely. I'm going to go to Brigadier Farooq Ahmed in just a bit to give a response to what Rajiv Dogra just said. But before that, we understand Colonel Kaul has to leave. So, Colonel Kaul, would you agree with what Rajiv Dogra is saying right now?
I quite agree with Rajiv, but I had a point to make at your previous guest from Pakistan, and before your new guests start off again. There is a dichotomy here. The previous guest, Brigadier Solomon, said on your, just a few minutes ago, that the Indian Army chief has made some claims to sort out Pakistan when he took over and things like that. I'd like to refute that, because the Army chief, General Swag, has not said any such thing. All he said was, if you try to get us on the run, we will hit you back with full intensity and immediately. That's all he said. No, nowhere did he said anything more than that. The point at issue, what Rajiv has said, yes, this particular belt, since I've served in this whole area a number of times, this whole area is got villagers very close, living very close to the international border, and as you go north, close to the line of control. So they feel the effect of any such incursion or firing or bombardment is always felt by them, and that collateral damage is unacceptable to us. I think this meeting which is taking place now is possibly a direction that is going to be given as to the question of Rajiv's statement that the government of India is now going to show its resolve and stand by its citizens.
Stand by its citizens indeed, Colonel, but obviously the only option even right now for the Indian government will only be to retaliate in equally strong manner. Brigadier Farooq Ahmed, why does Pakistan feel that it's the Indian government or the Indian army that's really launched this offensive? Our army chief has never said that since the time he's taken over. It's always been about giving a befitting reply to a provocation that's been started by your side.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much. Give me a minute or two. People in Pakistan are very angry, they're very annoyed over what has been happening, unprovoked aggression by the Indian Army on the line of control on the Kashmir working boundary in the last 5-6 days, and especially on Eid day when all Pakistanis are busy in the Eid festival. That is one. And up till now, there have been more than 12 Pakistani civilians who have attained martyrdom. They've died because of your shelling. Over 40
Well, we actually don't know what is the casualty number on your side, Brigadier, because as far as we understand, the Pakistani TV channels have even been told not to show the extent of the damage because of the Indian retaliation. And again, I would like to correct you there. It is not the unprovoked firing from India's end. It is only the response that has come in the last several days, whether it was in Akhnur or Arispura or the Samba sector across the valley. We have information that you are using the long-range mortars for the firing, which obviously will end up damaging on the Indian side. I've also got Fariha Idris, who's been very patiently waiting, but I haven't had a chance to go to her. Fariha, I'm going to come to you now and ask you this question. Brigadier Farooq was earlier mentioning of how this is what the people of Pakistan want, and they want Kashmir to be given to Pakistan. Is that the real feeling? There is a common man in Pakistan really thinking just about the battle and fighting for Kashmir and getting that back?
And let me first of all clarify what Brigadier Farooq said. What I heard from him was that he said that people in Pakistan are angered on the recent violations at LOC, and he has rightly said so. What you have said right now, that people of Pakistan want war, no, they do not. I don't think anybody living in the civilized world today would want war, whether they are in Pakistan or they are in India. I've been listening to a lot of figures and facts and statements given by your other guests and the reporters. And as a reporter myself, I can commiserate with the fact that they have to go in an area which has been inflicted by almost in a state of war. But let me give you some the other side of the story from my side as well. The reports that we have had here is that in this year, 2014 alone, there have been 224 violations by the Indian troops, and 42 of them were only on the working boundary. In the last 3 days, and these are the days of festivity here in Pakistan, as I come here talking to you, we are celebrating Eid at my home. We are in the third day of celebration. I've got Mehndi on my hand, and this is the time of celebration all across, not in Pakistan, but for the Muslims in India. But what we have seen in the last 3 days, while people were supposed to enjoy, that there have been 11 funerals so far. There have been civilians injured. We had to vacate 40 villages across Sialkot and other areas. So this is not just happening in India, it's happening here in Pakistan. And what Pakistan feels is that as a good neighbor, this was a time of celebration, and they should have given us the time to celebrate. Instead, what we see are dead bodies. Instead, what we see is violation. So obviously, there is anger on this side. But what's happening in Pakistani media, let me tell you with assurances, that we are not focusing on it the way you are. And while I admire you for doing it, and you should, what I'm trying to say is that Pakistani media is trying to restrain the balance so that emotions do not run rife, so that emotions do not run wild, which can happen when there are dead bodies on both sides of the border.
Well, reporting with a bit of sensitivity indeed is a good point there, Fariha. Reporting with sensitivity indeed is a good point, but what we understand is it's an instruction that has been given by your own army and ISI to not cover the damage that's been done because of the retaliatory firing. Rajiv Dogra, you've been listening very patiently to our other guests, and you wanted to make a point in between. Go ahead, sir. Make your point now.
Well, first I'd like to wish the lady journalist from Pakistan Eid Mubarak. Second, I'd like to correct some of the misapprehensions she has about her own country. First, the media in Pakistan has not covered these issues, A, because of the instructions from ISI, and no one in Pakistan dare deny or defy ISI. Second, the media is still on vacation because of Eid, and that is why no newspapers are coming out in Pakistan. So I think your guest from Pakistan needs to correct herself and not search for newspapers which are not there, or media which is on vacation. The other thing is that whether Pakistanis are angry or not, I can assure her that Indians are very angry.
That I spent last Eid outside home. Pakistani media has been spending many Eids outside home covering floods covering earthquakes. We do not take vacations, sir. There's been a dharna going on, there's been a protest going on in Pakistan. Most of our staff is working there. So it's not that all media has packed up their bags and gone home.
All right. For how long is this situation going to continue? Do you expect the cross-border shelling to actually intensify in the coming days?
Well, looking at the way Pakistan is behaving, unfortunately it seems that things might get worse. Now, what is not clear to me is who exactly is in charge of the Pakistan army, because you would recall that about 3 or 4 days back, the former dictator General Musharraf gave a call via the media that the Pakistan army would launch an offensive against India. Since that day, Pakistan army has not stopped firing. So is it General Musharraf who is still dictating terms to the current army chief? Is the current army chief an independent entity, or does he look towards General Musharraf all the time? If that is so, then I think we are in a very dangerous situation, because General Musharraf was never known for restraint or never known for friendly feelings towards India. So you have two centers of power now in Pakistan. One is the ousted dictator who has come back and who's facing sedition charges in Pakistan. The second is the acting army chief, so to speak. So with two centers of power, things can get very complicated, and who knows what turn it might take next.
Absolutely, that's a very valid and interesting point that you've made there, sir. Brigadier Farooq, I'm going to come to you and go back to what Rajiv Dogra was mentioning earlier. Maybe you can shed more light from what's really happening in Pakistan. Are there two centers of power? And where does General Musharraf now really figure into the entire scheme of things?
Okay, listen, you can keep on imagining the center of the power in Pakistan. General Musharraf has nothing to do with what is happening in the first place. And let me tell you, if Indian army keeps on becoming the aggressor, then you can expect the Pakistan army will keep on giving you a very befitting response. You should be prepared for that. Let me tell you, the Pakistani media is not censored by the military. Pakistani media is also openly showing all areas, houses which have been damaged, people who have died, their families, and the livestock that has been killed. Now, let me tell you,
Brigadier Ahmed, that is something that your own senior journalist has already accepted, that they are not showing the details of the visuals of the extent of the damage and the casualties that have been there. So let's just put that aside. What I just wanted to understand from you is there a growing importance that General Musharraf...
seen clippings on the Pakistani media showing the damages due to Indian firing. Now, let me tell you, Pakistan has already approached the United Nations. We have lodged a complaint to the United Nations Observer Group. So if we were the aggressor, why would we do that? We believe that since the Indians are the aggressor, since you've resorted to this unprovoked firing, and therefore Pakistan has the right to respond with full force. And let me assure you, if you want it this way, then we'll keep on responding with full force till the time that you stop firing across the line of control or the Sialkot working boundary. This is going to continue. We will continue to retaliate with full force, and that is what should be done in the present situation by Pakistan.
Rajiv Dogra, why do you think Pakistan went to the United Nations to really lodge that complaint, and do you think there is going to be any response coming in from United Nations?
No, it is very clear, because the Indians do not support the United Nations Observer Group in India, but we support the United Nations Observer Group, and that is why we launched a complaint with the military observers.
I'll just get you the other side of it, Brigadier Ahmed. I actually was asking that question to Rajiv Dogra. Let's also give you the other side of this perspective.
Let me make a brief comment on what your Pakistani guest has said about responding with full force. I don't know about that, because they've been responding with full terror force for the last 40 years. In fact, not responding, but activating full terror force for the last 40 years. As far as the full other force that he was mentioning too is concerned, let's see how situation develops. But what I can already observe on this program is the full vocal force of your Pakistani guest. He seems to be shouting himself hoarse. And at times, I think he's letting his emotions override rational reason. Pakistan.
When you're
has
not
always
interested
been
in peace,
aggressive
when you're
its
not
complaints.
interested in dialogue, then how do you, if you're trying to spoil the atmosphere of peace in the subcontinent, if you're resorting to aggression, then how do we have sit down on the table and resolve the disputes between the two countries?
Oh, can this vocal aggression be over? Can I now start? Now,
Yeah,
Pakistan has
after the
been
water aggression that we've had from you on the Chenab River,
Pakistan
8 lakhs
has
cubic of
always
water was
been
released
aggressive
without
in its
any
complaints.
Right,
water.
Brigadier Ahmed, you made your point. You made your point already. Let Mr. Dogra also finish.
Punjab.
Brigadier Ahmed, you've already made your point. Let Mr. Dogra also finish, please.
Pakistan has always been aggressive in its complaints, and Pakistan has always been found to be false in its complaints. And the latest one is a clear example, because Pakistan violated the ceasefire, Pakistan targeted civilians here, Pakistan killed children and young women on the Eid day, and that has
Point
been the
taken,
habit
point
with
taken, Mr.
Pakistan.
Dogra. Point taken. Thank you so much, both of you, also for joining us.